Hi there, gallery members and new viewers alike. Thanks for tuning in for this latest edition of Gridiron Gallery. If you haven't seen my channel before up until this point with new videos, recommend you like this one and subscribe for more. We got plenty of content on all your favorite football leagues. And for those gallery members out there, thank you as always for tuning in. Really can't appreciate you enough. Now, on to the show. Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Gridiron Gallery. I'm your host, Zach Keilman, and as always, and we're back once again talking European League of Football. If you watched or listened to us last time, Vince and Aaron Ellis are with us for this edition again, as always, for our ELF coverage. We left off on the semifinal games starting up. We made predictions. We talked about kind of the lead up to it and what we thought would be the conclusion. And well, we now know who is competing in the first European League of Football championship, and it's going to be the Hamburg Sea Devils taking on the Frankfurt Galaxy, two of the darlings of the league, two of the teams that were hyped up the most, I would say, in the preseason festivities, and two of the powerhouses that have been playing throughout the season with two of the best records in the ELF. Also, the two that finished at the top of each of their divisions as well. So both division leaders made it in and are in the championship. Guys, we got at least half of it right. Frankfurt kind of ran away from Cologne. And we got we predicted what we expected, because we predicted Hamburg and Wroclaw would be the best matchup of that weekend. And it lived up to the hype, really for almost the entire duration of the game, with one or two hiccups that kind of might be debated change the course. But we got arguably the two best, if not at least two of the three best in the ELF.
Yeah, I think we all thought. Y'all can remind me if I'm wrong. We all thought that the Panthers were going to come out on top. There's very, 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 very questionable pass interference penalty there. And you know what? It still happens in the NFL too. It sucks that it happened. I feel terrible for the Panthers players that are, kind of got burned by it, but they still don't even get it right in the biggest league that there is. So there's going to be mistakes. It's going to happen. And there was 100 other opportunities for them to seal that game. It can't just be pinned on one play. But other than that, it was a hell of a game,
Absolutely. Like you said, it can't be pinned on one play. I agree. The call was definitely questionable. However, Hamburg's offense earned it, man.
Yes,
they for the criticism that we kind of gave in that last episode about how they kind of stalled out here, for a solid half of the season. They really turned it on, man. And the Panthers defense isn't a bad defense. They're a pretty solid defense. They got some good players there. And Hamburg's offense turned it on. Clark had a good day, and that's kind of what they need to do if they're going to win in the finals. That offense needs to click just like they were in this last game.
X Johnson turned it on. He had his best game of the season. I think that was the most yards he ran all year, and I don't know if he had one or two touchdowns. I don't remember, but I know at least he scored once. He had a great game, and I think if their run game is coming to life right now, it's the right time to do it, because going into a game against a defense as strong and as well put together as Frankfurt, you got to be able to hit them in all ways possible, because if you're one-dimensional, they'll shut you down. There's just no way around it.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Xavier Johnson was definitely on point. Clark, I was really impressed with, like you're saying, Aaron. Definitely stepped up his game, because, it felt like with Hamburg last contest, and credit, we got certain conditions that were at play, but even then, Clark and the company felt like they faded a little bit. This time felt like that everyone was there and came to play, and that's what you're going to need against Frankfurt in particular. DPI aside, you had a chance to go to overtime at the end. You missed a kick, missed an extra point as well, and two in this contest. So plenty of opportunities you could have had, and you were down by 9. So you also put yourself in a position as well. It's just a shame that, I hate it when it comes down to you feel like a penalty screwed over a team, especially a 3rd and 14. Panthers get the ball back. They can extend that lead and possibly kill it right there.
Yeah.
But Hamburg, being in this contest, I think that they deserve to be there too. And really for the league, I don't like saying it this way as well, because I've said this with the IFL in terms of their United Bowl that they played. I think it helps the league just because Hamburg was this hyped up team. It was one that they've been wanting to put in the press the most. And it's in Germany. So you'll get another German team going against another German powerhouse the way they have it. PR perspective, they're probably in the ELF offices loving this as a matchup. So
absolutely.
They're probably ecstatic that this was the two that made it.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, is it bad for the Panthers now? Yeah, but imagine the type of fire they're going to play with next year.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and I think it's going to be a very big building block for the Panthers. Because first year, I'm sure there's plenty of Polish guys who are top tier players that would have been starters on that team that didn't join, because we talked about the same thing with the GFL. They just, they're being comfortable where they are, not necessarily want to take a risk on that very first year. But now that they saw hey, not only did the league work, the Panthers kicked some German ass. You know what I mean? They were very, very competitive. And so I think that's going to bring even more of the top tier Polish players to that team.
Yeah.
And higher end, high end imports. They're going to be like, hey, no, that team can compete. Let's play for them.
Yeah.
Let's play for them.
They only had, I think, at most 6 EU imports. So they didn't even go for the full 10 that they could have. And then on top of that, they only signed one or two other Polish players from outside their own program. They didn't bring a whole lot of guys in. And I think part of that was also they didn't want to disrupt the Polish club system as much as well either, and that they were fine with the guys that they had. They didn't feel the need to build a super team with all the other local talent.
Well, yeah, and I'm definitely not advocating to do that.
Yeah.
I think, they find 5 holes on their team. And they go around and they say, hey, we want these 5 top players, and they bring them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
I think that would be a smart strategy for them.
Well, you're going to be starting to focus on signings here. I mean, Madre London just got signed to another year contract.
Yeah.
So that period for anyone in the offseason now has got to be started up. And the ELF, I think they were, at least Cologne, I'll say in reference to the ELF, it's smart to have him re-signed. You have a confirmed star, possible MVP candidate locked up. And you can hype that and use that
the
to promote
MVP
your
candidate
league even more.
I don't
think
care,
so
dude.
too.
If Madre London doesn't win the MVP, this league's rigged. I'm sorry. He's a running back hitting that type of numbers in the first year in 10 games, dude. 10 games, and on a 5-5 team.
Mm-hmm. He was staggering.
They're not Frankfurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're a good team, but they're not Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
So him to do that, it makes it even more impressive. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a smart signing, and I've had him as pegged as my MVP as well. But for those out there, just got to be safe. But no, he's my MVP too. I gotta take that pick. And again, smart signing though. Good to have him back. The league's going to be thrilled that they can use him to promote even further next year.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to see others that we've even discussed on the side, like who they need to sign, like John Constant. They need to get him back to Barcelona. I even argue Zach Edwards you can sign. Some of the other quarterbacks too, like Lucas O'Connor. I think he needs to be with the Panthers again starting next year.
Yeah.
If you can somehow swing Turpin, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah, bring him in for the full season.
Just the impact he had the end of the season was spectacular. Great for highlights.
It'll be interesting to see because, with American imports, everyone, I can't speak for everyone, but I know a lot of guys are still looking to come back to the States, whether it's to an XFL type league, USFL type league, or the NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of imports just stick with 1-year deals, at least in the early runnings until the league starts to generate enough revenue where they can rival those contracts and actually pay a multi-year deal that is a little bit more lucrative. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some more EU talent getting multi-year deals in the next few months though, because there's the handful of guys that got tapped for the IPP, but I think it was 14 to go to the combine. There's a whole bunch of other top tier talent that's still going to be ready and looking to play for a team. So I think some franchises will lock down guys onto multi-year deals within the next few months.
Sure. We'll be seeing it soon. There's a lot going on in the next few months and even weeks for the ELF as well. We actually got a ton of announcements this past week. Just
like
involved.
today.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess yesterday, but we'll don't go for those that are watching in the past. I'll give them that slack. Why not? But really, yesterday, just kind of on all the stuff that's going on either with the title game or really looking ahead to next year. So here's kind of a rundown. I'll thank Alex Malchow there from the American Football International for providing kind of the Cliff Notes edition, if you will. So here's what we got. Expansion teams are confirmed to definitely be announced at the game. It's not even rumor anymore. Upwards, it sounds like of 3 will be announced depending on deals, and that the league is targeting at max 16 total teams come 2022. So minimum 12 is what they confirmed during a video release of this. It's a big range, but they're definitely going double-digit teams starting for 2022. Also, they've sold over 20,000 tickets to the championship game, massive ticket sales, and they released a €15 standing room ticket seating selection. So we might even see pushing that closer to 25K bidding. Might be crazy how much is going to be packed into that stadium. Dusseldorf has been emphasized as a future expansion option. So people, as of course Vince is wearing the Rhein Fire hat. I mean, why not? It's been rumored so much throughout the year, it almost just makes too much sense to even throw that into that announcement while you're at it.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with that is that it's another German team, and that I know that there's the NFL Europe history there, but it's Cologne and Dusseldorf are very close.
That's true.
And that you're kind of doubling down on what could potentially be the same market. Although if it's 2 big cities and there's going to be a big enough following there for both, I mean, if it works, it works. I think having that NFL Europe history to tap into, because they used to bring like 27,000 fans a game or something like that, whereas the Centurions were only bringing like 17 in like 2007. So it could be a move. I think that they should try to avoid expanding into too many German markets, at least right away. I think if there's one of the 3 into a new German market, maybe. I really think the first 4 should be into new countries, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and good thing is most of the rumors are in countries outside of Germany. So Dusseldorf's kind of the exception really right now as of another German market. But as we've heard with Austria, and we've heard even with France or even Turkey, there's options outside the US. And the championship game for next year will be announced its location of 2 to 3 weeks after this one. It will also not be in Germany. So they are trying to emphasize outside of Germany come next year and try to grow that audience outside of the German football market too, which I think is key for them moving next year anyway. In our discussions with that, I know that's going to be a big topic of ours is, hey, let's focus on the other countries we're in, see the successes that Barcelona had, and especially how the Panthers had at the end of the year, and let's focus on those talents outside. But they're pushing that next year with that. Also, NFT market, they're getting into that, which has become a kind of a hot topic in football for some of the alternate leagues, because the FCF said there might be doing that. The European League of Football now has an entire website dedicated to their NFT content. They're selling like digital cards of the logos right now. I'm still new to it, but it's a lucrative business, so they can make some money, another revenue stream. And
basically they're able. It's like getting designer collectibles or something like that. It's like a digital. I can't even think of it.
I call it trading cards or
it's like a digital trading card that has a certain type of coding in the file so that it can't be duplicated, and that you own the original, so that it's solidified, this version of this picture is yours and yours alone, and that what makes it valuable.
Right.
For people that don't really understand what NFTs are.
As of our recording, there's only about 5 team logos out in the first series drop. Leipzig was the most recent that got their logo drop. So there's going to be the 3 others. Off the top of my head, I do not remember them. I know that Hamburg and Frankfurt sold out. Oh, and then Cologne, Berlin, they've had theirs starting to sell. Panthers the same, and then actually Leipzig would be number 6 there, so they recently dropped theirs. So there's others coming out too, and they have another series. So it's just series of rarity collectibles with coding that makes it that way. They're 3D rotating objects. That's what they are. The biggest piece to me, though, besides maybe expansion and the ticket sales, hearing those positives, they're going to do replay in the ELF, starting with the championship and moving into 2022. Now, I'm gonna be honest, like Vince, before you hopped on and then before Aaron hopped on with us, I totally phased that they didn't have replay. I mean, I knew it wasn't there, but watching the games, I just kind of was like, okay, it's moving along. Like, I'm just more interested in the broadcast quality. Totally phased that there was no replay during the games, just because, I didn't pay attention to it much, but here we are. They're introducing it right now.
Yeah, it hurt. It definitely hurt not having the instant replay, because there was a lot of like questionable calls, very questionable calls. And I know people are like, okay, like with the NFL, a lot of times it screws up the flow of the game. But dude, get the right call. You know what I mean? And if you don't know, go to instant replay. Like it's okay. Because I'd rather have a game be decided by what actually happened than what a ref thought he saw, just so we have a better flow of a game. That's just my personal opinion. Because like that PI call, say they're allowed to throw the challenge flag and challenge that no call or whatever, I don't know. And, just going to instant replay and seeing it, okay, that was a PI call. Boom. I think it's huge. I'm very happy that they're going to have in the championship game, which is going to be very big for a team like Hamburg. That's very like penalty sound, I guess would be the best way to say it. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, here's the thing with the championship broadcast. I want to see, like, because obviously the Super Bowl in the US is even more grandeur in terms of broadcast elements. Some stuff even gets put in that's new for the next year for some companies that makes it even look fancier, or even they use different angles too. And I imagine this is kind of their play here as well. We're going to do replay now, and that'll show you what maybe we're teasing at for next year in terms of production quality as well. So that's a step. But, like I said, I phased it during the year as a fan. It's unfortunate because it is true there were plays that were missed. It wasn't all smooth. Not all crews are smooth. And, Vince pointed out to me, of course, too, these guys are also, some of them are trying to get more adept to even the NFL rules too in this iteration. So it's nice that they're putting it in. We'll get to see how they operate it. I imagine the venues had something to do with it in terms of implementing it. Maybe this year is my guess, because they have the production teams. So I was kind of shocked they couldn't bring that in unless the venue was the problem. So I'm gonna do some more research on that if I need, but
I remember seeing the original post on Instagram that was just like them announcing like, hey, sorry, we couldn't secure instant replay software for the season. And like, look, I mean, I don't know if any existing European league does instant replay. I don't know if anybody outside of,
not that I'm aware of either. Yeah,
I think outside of like the NFL and the CFL and obviously college, I don't really think there's a lot of instant replay in the world of football. I don't think I've seen it in arena too much, although it maybe IFL, but like below.
It's so sporadic in arena. That's all I can tell you.
Them having it as a international league in general, I mean, that's huge. I think that's a huge step forward towards being like a professional league. A lot of people were really doubting, like, is this actually a professional league to start with? And a lot of people have changed their mind on that throughout the year. And I think the people that are still in that's not really a pro league mindset, having something like instant replay immediately is a huge step forward towards being like, yes, we are.
Yeah, I liked hearing that news. Again, kind of snuck up on me because I kind of forgot about it just because of how used to it was with these games. But it's great to see another element that you're like, hey, for any football fan, that's a kind of like standard of living type of thing for any broadcast anymore. So great that they're putting it in. They'll have a full off season without COVID issues, you hope, or less of them, to implement that too. I say living, I mentioned in there, is kind of a running thing. However, I have to bring this up because it disheartens me like crazy to see this. And, if I know there are ELF people that listen to us talk. We've had people reach out to myself, to Vince, to Aaron. Aaron was in the league, for Christ's sake, so he would be one of the first to hear. But, this disheartened me, and it's for a top player in the league. Omari Williams made several Instagram stories this week that Inside Sports Japan picked up and shared to us on Twitter that really were unfortunate. And it was based on management of the team, housing for at least himself, that was for Frankfurt, which, if that rings a bell, well, Frankfurt's in the championship. And I don't think you want to be hearing that about your championship team. One of the guys that they brought over that was a big dog from the GFL, and kind of some of the stuff I'm going to lay out here. You can look up Inside Sports Japan at Inside Sports JP if you want to find the originals for the stories that were screenshot, but kind of some stuff here. He quotes in his management in Frankfurt hasn't given a blank, I'll say it, given a shit about us all season. This is his words, not mine, just as a reference. We've voiced our complaints since day one. Nothing has been done. We live with mold and leaky ceilings. That was a shame to hear about that for apartment housing. They've been lying about everything, and I'm not a fan of it. We deserve better since we literally put our bodies on the line. He continues, I refuse to return the same trash. I refuse to return to the same trash management. People still volunteer next year. They do nothing, and it's disgusting, in exclamation points. I don't hate people, but they're pushing it. I do my job, and they do not do theirs. Continuing, we just make the team money and get no benefits. Our team is not transparent with us. The European League of Football isn't transparent with the team either. Y'all don't get a pass. And he finishes with, my homies can't even get proper rehab, and that's he says that's fucking disturbing. His words, not mine. I have to reiterate, do better immediately, Frankfurt, or you're losing your imports. This really hurt me because all year I've been hearing good stuff and talking to other players for the most part. They've had great experiences, even like for teams like Leipzig, who got thrown together in a mad dash to the finish line just to get a team out there. We've talked, like Daniel Dokel's been on here and he's loved what they're doing. They felt the organization's been doing it well. And you hear from Frankfurt of all teams that is, at least for Williams in his situation, does this. And I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, what is this, man? Like, this is not how you treat players or give them setting ups. And, unfortunately, I know, Aaron, you were kind of giving us at least somewhat of a thing, not as bad as this, but like still,
I definitely, it's not as bad as it was not as bad as how he's describing it. But I mean, we gotta be honest. First year of any league, do you really expect those types of things to be really solved right away? Okay. I didn't. I personally didn't. Now, from everything he described, it sounds like they just have a awful communication and an awful leadership structure within management on handling import concerns, import living. Because what a lot of these managements need to understand is, you become the GM, whatever, you need to literally have a position for like the import like caretaker. Because listen, you hire 4 Americans, right? And you bring them out to Europe. Maybe it's their first year in Europe, maybe it's not. Whatever it is, we're in a brand new country on the other side of the world. Okay, we need help. We need help managing stuff. I don't read German. Like, I need help getting my bus pass taken care of. Like, I need help handling my phone SIM card, all that crap. Like, we need help. And that's not saying we're dramatic or that we're like children. We're foreigners, man. And I would expect any team that brings a foreigner in to make him feel like the family and help him with all these basic necessity stuff. Now, when it comes to their house and stuff, like, that sucks. I mean, I'm surprised if it is that way. I'm surprised they kept it this quiet for this long, because I would have been the first one saying, hey, like, day one, I'm not living in somewhere with leaky ceilings and mold. Like, you guys fix this or I'm leaving. Like, because at the end of the day, he's right. We're putting our bodies in this. Got sacked 30 times in 7 games. I should have a say in how things go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's our bodies being put on the line for the league and these teams to make money. And they need to quickly understand that, and they need to realize that. So they need to take care of us. It's that simple. And, a big concern that's been in Europe for a while was, if you would speak out about these things, a lot of teams and leagues might try to like blackball you, just because there's no court system out here for us. There's no like small things for American import. Like, there's no player what's the word?
Players Association.
Yeah. There's
Well,
no
yeah,
players
that's definitely-
association.
Yeah.
So what he did by speaking out like that, it takes guts, and it's one of those things where it's like, I hope it doesn't come back to bite him, but it needed to be said. Like you can't have people live like that, man. Especially if you're playing the ELF, because I've heard plenty of import horror stories, and it's normally always the management that does those type of things. They try to blame it on the players. Now, the thing Omari's got going for him is he is a badass motherfucker. That dude is a hell of a player, and he's going to be around in this league for quite a while. He is a lockdown corner, like easy. So I don't think it's going to affect him at all. So I'm glad he took kind of leadership to speak out about these things. Now, could he have done it maybe a little more professional, maybe a little better? I'm sure hindsight, whatever, right? But
Yeah.
it needed to be said. I'm glad he said it. I hope they fix these things for them, especially if they come back next year. So that's going to be really interesting, like we were talking about with the offseason talks and re-signings. There's a chance Frankfurt might not have a single American back from the squad.
Yeah.
If only
point.
for management doesn't fix what's going on, and they just decide they don't want to play there anymore. Because as soon as all the Frankfurt Americans decide they don't want to play there, guess what? Every other team is going to be like, hey, maybe we should get them.
Exactly.
Because they all played well this year. They all played well this year.
All played well. Yeah.
Even Desmond Cooper, when he got injured, he was still playing very good football.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's going to be no doubt they get picked up for somewhere if they don't go back. But it was definitely a shocking revelation, like you said, to be coming out of the best team in the league camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like they came into the league as the most established team as well. They had, most pieces put together, and it seemed like they had honestly, the deepest pockets coming into the season. I feel like I heard rumors at some point that like they were handling finances for other teams in the startup days because they just had that much more money than everybody to begin with. I obviously haven't seen a single piece of paper, a single financial document or anything like that, so I couldn't speak to that 100%. But that's kind of the feeling that it felt like, that they were the most well-to-do, they were most better off, and that they were going to be able to help the other teams get off the ground to get the league going. So to hear something like this coming out of Frankfurt is kind of crazy to me. But I think that if he's still on the team, all the imports are still on the team, no one else has come out and said anything since then, he hasn't doubled down to say more, I think that the measure that he took, I think, got the message across 100%.
Probably.
I'd feel confident saying that they have done something about it, because there's no way in hell that he would have just like, going on his Instagram story, there's no way in hell that he would just like zip shut and wait for the end of the season and then just walk away with his tail between his legs. Like, it took balls to go out on Instagram and call out the team in the league like that. So there's no way that he just like they didn't fix something to make everything peaceful. I have to think that something behind the scenes was corrected enough to keep them happy enough to finish out the season. And if they all decide to go somewhere else, then they're only shooting themselves in the foot. If they want to win the first championship, fine, and then lose their best players and have a bad reputation for import players, they're going to be in a tough position moving forward. So if what Omari said was true, they need to fix that immediately if they're going to hope to continue to be a powerhouse in this league, because a whole lot of other powerhouses are coming in soon. It's not going to be easy for them to go 9-1 again. I'm going to tell you that right now, especially if the Vienna Vikings and the Swarco Raiders really are coming in for next year. It's not going to be easy for them, and they want to keep their best players and do as much as they can to keep them. So I hope that this is like a one-time, it was addressed and it's over, it's behind them, and it's not a thing anymore, because that's unacceptable.
That is what I'm also hoping is the case. I know the ELF does operate at times. Now I will say, with announcements that, help, that are definitely big for the league, obviously they do share when needed, and they sometimes do hint a lot. But a lot of stuff that, like this, I feel is definitely a behind closed doors issue, that it's like, all right, we see what you did. Like, we'll try and fix this ASAP. I am giving the benefit of the doubt that the league saw this and went, crap, this is unacceptable. We'll get in Frankfurt's, the management's face, and go, what are you doing? this is a championship week, and they'll be like, first off, your player went like this, I will say borderline, at least ballistic on issues, on championship lead up, like that 2-week period. Like, this is supposed to be a good time for the league. How did you let it get that bad to where someone had to let go? Like that's unacceptable. So I imagine I would not be surprised if you had, like, say, Commissioner Sume calling up the Galaxy and going, what the hell did you just do? Like, what are you doing over there? And I don't know everything. This is a player's insight, kind of giving us a peek behind the curtain for his perspective. I do not know every Galaxy player. I cannot say that. I cannot give you every perspective. I cannot give you a blanket statement, because that's unfair to both parties. But what I can tell you is, someone that is a high profile player like this laying down the lines, you better be addressing it. If you're a league with, trying to maintain your momentum, you are trying to nip this in the bud as soon as possible. And this was back September 16th. This was, as of this recording, a week ago. So that's plenty of time to start getting in people's faces and going, you need to change things now. There's no reason to be waiting around doing this type of crap. You need to be better, at least going into next year. You can't keep doing this.
And I feel like there's been a handful of times throughout the season where something came up and I felt like the league addressed it properly. The racial slur situation was handled within, like, it felt like days, if not hours, you know what I mean? And them, like, all right, look, we heard you were bringing in, what's it called? The instant replay. So I'd like to think that if we haven't heard anything else in the past week, something's been done and that it's been handled and that it will never happen again. Cause there's just, it's unacceptable to do something.
Yeah. You just got to bring it. Like I said, I hate bringing a story like this up, because it's been, ever since our earlier episodes when we've been talking, it's been good. It's just, I hate to see a story like that, especially from other players that I've talked to. You get stuff where it's like, this has been a good experience. I've had a great time. Like, I'm like, to me, I just go, damn it, man.
Both sides. Like, you have to report both sides no matter what. You can't just pick and choose, even though we want it to be all good. You have to talk about the bad stuff too. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, now that we got that cleared up,
I was gonna say, now that that's out there, take your thoughts as it is for folks listening or watching. I'm just being honest. We got a championship game.
Yeah, let's get to the meat of this bad boy, huh?
Gentlemen, what are the keys to Hamburg and Frankfurt? Kind of seems like a tale of two different philosophies for the most part, going at each other.
Yeah. Well, like I said, absolutely shocked. Not shocked, but I definitely thought the Panthers were going to pull that off. But the Hamburg offense stepped up when they needed to, and they got that dub. And the keys to success, I mean, offensively first for the Sea Devils, it's going to be establishing that run game early and often. Once that is taken care of, I think Clark plays a better game. I think as long as the run game's going, and he's comfortable, he's going to find his open guys.
Yeah.
So I think, running the ball, putting Clark in good situations, don't always forcing him to throw on third downs, have him throw some early downs, some play actions, quick game, just get him rolling early, because you're going to need him in the fourth quarter if you're going to win this game. I think they need to feed Adria the ball. He's just a menacing target out there, and what that's going to do, if they can get him the ball early and often, it's going to ease up things for their outside receivers. Now, there are Europeans out there, but they're still talented guys. But that being said, you got to put them in good positions, right? So if you can get the attention on Adria and Johnson early in the game, I think on the outside, they're going to have a great game. Yeah. Defensively, they have to make Sullivan uncomfortable.
Yes.
They have to make him uncomfortable.
I mean, there's no other way around it.
Almost all season, this man has just been back there having fun. And the times where he was uncomfortable was when Frankfurt was absolutely struggling. And it wasn't very often.
Yeah.
But anytime Frankfurt was in that position where they were struggling, it was because he was uncomfortable. Okay. So That's going to be the number that Hamburg D line has to get to him over and over and over, and not necessarily sacks, but QB hits, QB hurries.
Get him running.
They got to be in his face.
Yeah.
On the secondary end, you cannot allow number 11, the big 1-1. You cannot allow this man to make yak plays.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be good on tackling, good form, and they have to bring him down. This man 11 has that potential to take a hitch, break tackles, and score. I think anytime he touches the ball, he's gonna get a deep play at some point. It's gonna happen. You can't double him every single play. That's fine. It's football. He's gonna get his one big play, but you cannot allow him to make that 4 big plays off of short stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gonna kill you. You got to keep 11 contained. Get Sullivan uncomfortable. If Hamburg can do that, they are going to win this game. Now on the Frankfurt side, kind of the same thing. Frankfurt's D line, you got to make Clark uncomfortable, because anytime Clark's uncomfortable, he's going to start looking to run. Okay, and it works sometimes, but I don't think against those linebackers on that Frankfurt defense, you can't run all the time, because they're great players. They're going to chase you down. They're going to put hits on your body, and it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. Offensively, I think they just got to do what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Protect Sullivan, game's over. I mean, it's that simple. If they keep Sullivan up and let him just go to work and get good matchups for 11 out there and their other talented guys, then it's going to be short. Now, my prediction is Frankfurt winning 21-17. However, I will say it here, I wouldn't be shocked if Hamburg pulls the upset.
Yeah.
If, like I said, they continue that offensive success from the playoff game. I see it being like their earlier matchup against Frankfurt, not the second time, the first time.
Yeah.
I think the second time, Hamburg, they came in feeling a little too much about themselves. They had a lot of injuries, and they fumbled the bag on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this time around, they're going to come in serious. They're going to come ready to go, and it's going to be a much closer game. That's why I said 21-17 Frankfurt. However, like I said, wouldn't be shocked if Hamburg can pull the upset, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that pretty much almost word for word. Frankfurt's all around just the best put together team in the league, except for kicker, apparently, but that's besides. But defensively, they've got dogs in every position. Offensively, they got dogs in every position. Like they even you barely got to see their tight end used too much because of how many weapons they have. The French tight end, Kevin Waba, I mean, when he gets the ball, that dude is like a bulldozer just running downfield, essentially. The guys, they've just got so much talent offensively. It's going to be hard to bottle them all up, but there's a defense in the league that can do it. It's Hamburg's when they're at, full strength, full speed, because they've got dogs on that defensive line. They've got great linebackers. I mean, now they've got Justin Rogers, and they got Curtis Slater in the defensive backfield there. I mean, Slater being a late addition to the team, but I mean, I was watching him play in Finland all summer, and the guy's also a dog. So they've got a lot of talent on that defense too. I think it's going to be a dogfight for sure. I think it's going to be maybe like 24-20. No, 26-20 Frankfurt, because they're going to miss some extra points maybe. And Hamburg's going to convert on a bunch of field goals because they've got a guy who could potentially be kicking in the NFL in the next couple of years with Philip Anderson, who's connected from 50 plus multiple times. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. And if they do win, if Hamburg pulls off the upset, it's going to be off of a deep field goal, and he's probably going to be connecting on his fourth field goal of the day for that one too.
Absolutely.
Because if that Frankfurt defense is strong, but if they can get enough good field position to just let him keep running up the threes, then that's going to be a huge thing. That's going to be what would give them the win, in my opinion, if they do pull it off.
So yeah, that's kind of one of my leaning on this for if you're the Sea Devils. you want to be able to assert your defensive authority to where you're putting it into field goal range on drives. You're forcing the Galaxy to lean on their weakest side, which is the kicking unit, and mostly in most terms, special teams. I mean, Max Simson has been all right. I know they've rotated other kickers throughout the year. Ebson, of course, is the longest, but still, like, it's been pretty atrocious. 8 of 16 on your overall field goals and 27 of 47 on PATs. And these are stats from the ELF's website, which, by the way, I'll give the ELF credit. They did some great write-ups on kind of summarizing the championship. If you wanted to get into this, recommend for those listening, you go and check those out before game 2. But I mean, that's my key, really. Slow down the offense to where they have to either go for fourth downs more consistently, or you have to do kicks, which, credit, fourth downs are probably your more advantageous side when you have Jacob Sullivan on as your quarterback, but still that leaves risk to turn over the ball on downs. I would never like to play that game. Hamburg at least has scoring potential once you get inside the 40-yard line at any given point. You can go for a touchdown. Hopefully Clark and company lean on Johnson and Adrian Moreno. I hope that they get going too. I think that's going to be crucial for the Galaxy. Can you shut down their best pass catcher at tight end and force the Sea Devils to have to lean on their receivers, who I won't say have been terrible, but it's not been their strength, their bread and butter, like some other ELF teams have had. They've leaned tight end more as their bruiser for catches, and either Clark's ability to run out of the pocket or Johnson in the run game to really generate any offense during the season. So you got to hope that comes out and that they lean on their best strengths and are able to capitalize on those, which will be hard since the Galaxy's defense has been consistently getting better as the year's gone on, ever since their 1-point loss against the Hamburg Sea Devils in week 1. So those are your strengths. Otherwise, for Frankfurt, just convert on touchdowns. Don't let the Sea Devils get their way. Don't make them force you into either choosing a field goal or a potential to turn over the ball on downs. Limit those opportunities, and try and, third down conversions will be your friend. Getting to the end zone will be your friend. If they're able to get to the end zone on a consistent basis without having to go into a gray area of making a coach's decision every other drive or every drive, you're going to win this game, I think, handily. I think Hamburg, though, makes it that type of game. However, I still have the Galaxy pulling this out. I'm going to say it's a 28-20 contest at the end of the day. They'll definitely the Sea Devils will come out to play much better than their second matchup earlier this year. It will not be a blowout. It's not going to be a massacre. But I think Frankfurt is on just a different level right now still. Hamburg is more well equipped. Their injuries still make it hampered to where could this contest maybe even be, more Hamburg's favor with some of the linebacker injuries on that defensive side. But in terms of just sheer power and overall just better talent, I think Frankfurt's going to win this. It'll be a good game, though, just from what you'll have a responsive team. It's hard to beat a team in a third matchup, either side. Generally, a third matchup is usually a really good contest either way. So
twice at that point that you know what's going to happen. Exactly.
You expect certain things, and you could either seen the best or worst of an opponent at that point. This should be a good one. I think the ELF, like we said earlier, their management has got to be happy that this matchup's here, just for the fact that you get to see two opponents that pretty much know each other thoroughly at this point throughout the 12-week season. So,
and I think those 20,000 fans that bought tickets to the game will get their money's worth. That's my main prediction right there. I think a show is going to be put on for them, and I think the atmosphere at that stadium is going to be crazy.
I'm looking forward to watching it. It's gonna be fun. I cannot wait very much so. Gentlemen, thank you for joining again. For those watching and listening, we'll be recapping the championship game as well as other announcements, because a lot of this stuff was more like, here's what the league's doing. We're going to be talking about what the league did, because the championship's kind of going to have a ton of stuff going on besides the game. So we'll keep you posted. We'll have a follow-up episode next week on YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast platforms. And if you haven't followed on any of those or subscribed, be sure to do so, because we'll be talking ELF later down the line too. Don't know when or where past next one, again, just kind of depends on how the league's off season goes, but we'll see, but right now, stick with us, of course. Follow at least all these guys on Facebook. Vince at Alt Football Scout for his platforms. Aaron's on Instagram and Twitter. You got it's at QAAE14 on Twitter, and then it's AEllis_16 on
15.
Instagram. 15. There you go.
Yeah.
AEllis_15 on Instagram. Trying to make sure I get all you guys covered there too. And be sure to follow Aaron, by the way. He's playing in Romania. So you'll want to be keeping up with those guys. And there's some ELF talents that went over with him too, that they'll be playing some good football out there. We're going to watch you for those, by the way.
Much love, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to watch more of those too. Until next time, folks, thank you for tuning in to Gridiron Gallery and for the support, as always, for the show. Hopefully catching up with you guys and getting a good episode recapping the championship. But until then, stay tuned. The Gridiron Gallery podcast. New episodes every Friday on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and premiering first, as always, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on unhingedsn.com.